empire. Makes your head spin, pretty as a new star. Take it in, some kind of magic, dizzy as a new dawn to begin. Every road that we followed had to hold on just so we could let go. And the night goes on so we could know what the light feels like when it comes up. I got a fever and it's breaking. Oh, we found a way, oh, true believer. Yeah, we're waking up. We found a way, oh. We found a way, oh. We found a way, oh. We got it just right. It's better if you chill, don't even try. Aiming so high, found out what it means to touch the sky. Every road that we followed had to hold on just so we could let go. And the night goes on so we could know what the light feels like when it comes up. I got a fever and it's breaking. Oh, we
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Will English Invitational Tournament. Today, we have some Lucioball, back with the NA version this time. I'm Tiny Shiny, joined by Bajabber, the Lucioball expert, as I have been told. Know a lot about what's happening on here, and it's going to be a great day to have this start off. We have a lot of matches coming your way.
Yeah, so it looks like we're starting out here with No Thoughts Head Empty against Kieran. So No Thoughts Head Empty is comprised of players I recognize from the Top 100 community. Kieran seems to have come from the Johnny Cruz fan server, which is a very respectable server, I'm sure. But either way, I'd really like to see some exciting attacks from No Thoughts. I want to see some. So I want Speed Torrent to dribble on everybody and stuff like that. We'll get some good early games.
We definitely will. And this is an interesting one to start off with, as we were talking about a bit before. Kieran, they have a larger roster, right? They got 5 players. They're all flex players. So they're not really in a position. They can be subbed out in between the maps if they wish to do so, which is interesting. So, and then you also think about No Thoughts Head Empty. You got your 3-man roster. They know how to play together. They know how to practice, and they're well established in the Lucio Ball community as well.
Yeah, and well, as well established, but they're recently established. A lot of those guys are like the No Thoughts team is pretty new to the community, but they've been making a come up. Droid's been in the lab for like the last year, constantly. Every time Lucioball's available, he spends like a good amount of time just in custom games practicing like shots and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll get to see some of that play out. Obviously, Soulsack also had a recent come up in 2021. And SpeedTorrent just moved into the East, so he gets to play with good ping now, and now he can get on a decent team, make some moves.
In a game as fast as Lucioball, that ping is going to be very important. So you need to be able to have very quick reaction time. The ball, it goes everywhere at once. You need to be able to keep your eyes on it, have that good reaction time, especially in that defensive positioning. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these teams start out here. And thinking about it before we head in here, do you think there's really one team that's going to have an upper hand in this tournament today?
In the tournament in general, it's hard to say. There's a team that we'll be seeing later on called the Gatekeepers that are kind of comprised of a bunch of the top players that all ganged up to prevent anybody else from winning a tournament, which is very fun. Although it is true that their schedules also they have a lot of like conflicts in the middle of their schedules. We've had this problem forever running tournaments. People are like, oh, I can play for 3 hours, but I can't play for 6. I mean, understandably. So the Gatekeepers are going to be a big favorite. There's a whole bunch of teams. I don't know. The McDonald's team is really strong. Team 10 is really strong. A lot of good teams in bracket. What's going to be really interesting to me is that there's going to be definitely a chance for some like up and coming kind of contender upset teams later on in bracket because of the way bracket is formatted. We're going to have a chance to see some players that you wouldn't normally see in those high stakes games make a chance to get a good upset. So I'm kind of cheering for the upset, but you know, we'll see what happens.
Gotta love the underdog story, you know? So, I mean, there's 12 teams in this bracket. It's quite a lot to go through in general just to get through the finals. And we're going to be starting off with the first round. It's going to be the best of 12. So it's going to be, like we said, Kieran and No Thoughts Head Empty. Going to be the first match. We're going to be watching and taking you through today. This tournament, do you want to talk a bit more about how this tournament is structured, Bajabber?
Yeah, so it's a double elimination tournament, but there's no bracket reset at the end for a variety of reasons. So we'll be having round of 16, and then we'll have round of 12, I guess, because there's 12 teams. It is round of 16, but whatever. And then winners quarterfinals, winners semifinals, winners finals, and then we'll get to watch losers finals, and then we'll watch grand finals at the end. 12 teams. I probably recognize like 7 of them. So there's enough players that I know that I'm obviously going to be excited. I'll be watching even when I'm not commentating to, watch the homies play and so on. But that's the main structure. You have there's subs are allowed. We have a lot more subs this time around than we did in Europe. I don't know. North American players have wacky schedules, I guess. And then there's going to be like, I don't know, you can pause. Sometimes players disconnect or have internet problems, like their ping starts spiking to like 100. And Lucioball ping is really important. So you really don't want to be like at 100 ping, you just can't hit the ball. So we might see some pauses mid-game for that. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Cross your fingers. But we'll see. That's kind of the gist of it as far as I can tell. Anything else that I think of, I'll bring up on the way through the game.
Yeah, and I mean, Bajabber, you got to watch a lot of the EMEA matches yesterday. You casted the finals too. So is there any common themes that you saw in yesterday's matches in terms of play style or maybe possible positions that we might see here today as we're getting ready to head in?
Yeah, so there's the sort of archetypes, the types of ways people play. A lot of the positions are similar. The main differences just have to do with which region's strongest player plays with which play style and so on. But we'll see very similar sort of players that are sort of scoring by dribbling off the ceiling or off the wall versus players that score by just getting in front of the opponent when they have the ball and just hitting it after them, forcing it past them. You see that sort of thing. You see mid players that focus on passing. You see mid players that focus on shutting down the offense. We're getting into the game here. It seems Guppy is in goal. That is their current position, and he has left goal. Someone else has rotated into goal. Okay. Kickoffs, I see.
It's just gonna be a rotating position today, I mean, no thoughts. They're already seeing how aggressive they're playing down, just forcing it already. That's what you're talking about, how crazy SpeedTorrent is in this striker role.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm too surprised that he got this that is not the most stylish goal you'll see today from Speed Torrent, but it is clean. It just jumps in front of the goalie. Goalies there really got to come out into the corner and force that ball away before it rolls in front. That is scary. Okay. Well, it does seem like Kieran has good ping, which is an important factor. I was worried they were going to put like a 60 millisecond ping guy in goal, and it was just going to be embarrassing. But that's a little closer to what Speed Torrent normally does. There we go. As he dribbles off the wall like 4 times until he knocks it into the net.
I'm just glad that we get to see this replay right here. Look at this. It's just bouncing back and forth. It's like playing a 2-inch away, like you're playing a ping pong battle right there. Not even Lucioball at that point.
Yeah, well, you'll see that a lot from Speed. He's definitely been warming up over this last week or so to getting used to being able to actually play against the good players. And in my eyes, he's emerged as like a top 3 North America striker in general. So it's kind of unfortunate for him that he had to like form a last-second team and doesn't even have like a real dedicated goalie player. Although Solsak has apparently been playing goalie a decent amount this event, so maybe the flexing is going to work out. And not like it'll matter though if he's doing things like that. That is such a mix-up. I don't know how you react to that. Booping up and then punching into the bottom corner, so the goalie's looking up to their top left, and then the ball has suddenly changed direction and gone into the net.
It's just all over the place, and it's really hard to read these things because when players such as Speed Torrent, we see how good they are at handling the ball and how good they're able to use that between the wall and the melee. So the types of text they're using to actually maneuver the ball around to get it into their net, and just like that, they're up 3-0, and it's only been a minute so far.
Yeah, I can't say I'm that surprised, but I am glad to see that Speed Torrent is not choking anything, and his team is not choking anything. It's not just Speed Torrent, it's just he's the one who has the ball the entire game, so it's hard to talk about other people. But, yeah, I mean, and Speed is absolutely styling on them. Yeah, the 2 types of hits, right? Booping is like going to be stronger, but you don't always want stronger. Sometimes you want to keep the ball close to you while you change your position to get closer to the goal or get away from the middle player, and that's where punching is really valuable to a striker, as you saw there.
Like it's dribbling the ball versus passing it or trying to shoot the ball. We see the different types of that. We're seeing the sound barriers are now going to start to be a chain counter from Kieran. Get the ball. They're getting it out of their defensive zone for once, so they were seeing it in the red zone, which is a good sign for them. But it's going to be sent back soon if they're not careful. Ooh.
Droid the ball. That's tragic. That's why I need to cover these.
Look at that. It's bouncing it straight off the ceiling. And
yeah, Droid practices those a lot.
I mean, you need to. It's not easy to get up there and try to contest when you're playing up on the ceiling.
That's correct. That's correct. But over the course of the last couple years, ceiling shots like that have become very trendy, and they score a lot. So lots of Lucioball players that are trying to get better just get in the custom games and start practicing their ceiling wall ults from their own side of the field. It is fun. I mean, I support it. It looks great.
Solsak finally pulled it up as a goalie. The goalie just scored a goal, and they're just going to end it right there, not even needing the full 6 minutes, and that's round 1.
Yeah, Solsak is definitely a striker player at his heart, and he is flexing into goal here. You see that on this ult when he just flies out and gets the ceiling shot. This time he hits it, he doesn't miss the first shot. So he's able to pull off the full ults. He's taking his time. He's like, I have time to do this, right?
Okay, so I'm just going straight in. Look at that.
Very nice, very nice. Even the punch right at the end to drop the ball so that when he did shoot it, it would be on target instead of going on the upper crossbar. It's so well done. Really well played. 5-0. I'm not really sure what Kieran needs to do to, I guess step 1 is start hitting the ball away from Speed and his kind of oppressive offense on 4 goals. That's going to be hard to come back from for any team.
Yeah, I mean, here, look at it this way. You still have another 2 rounds to try and come back. It's not over if you're a team by any means. There is still a loser's bracket even if you're going to fall here. It's not the end of the world. Kieran, they're coming from the Lucio, like, they're Lucio fans, you know? They're coming from that Crusaders server. They're a team that loves this game. But we're also seeing things from No Thoughts that they have really nailed down their way that they want to play Lucioball today. And, like, we're even seeing Solsac being on a newer role they're having to adapt to, even feeling comfortable just going up, you know what, I decided I'm going to be the striker today and just taking over that last shot as well. And I think it's going to be just a common theme we're going to see throughout this first match.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I'd like to see Kieran get a couple more chances up to at least make the defense work for it a little more, because I know that Droid and Solsac, they are good players. They could be bypassed. Like, it is possible to score on them once you get the ball over there. And I'd like to see Kieran try to, just get like 1 or 2 chances on the goal to actually challenge Solsac and Droid's kind of attempts. Because the way it was here, Speed Torrent would get a ball. If he didn't score, it would get cleared, and Droid would just give it back to him. And it was just that for 2 minutes, and then the game was over. Hopefully, we'll get to see some more back and forth in the next game. Worst case, Kieran's and losers, they have some shots against some other teams and losers that are also not like amazing upper grandmaster Lucioball players. I mean, Speed Torrent was like, he had like 75, 80 ping last Copa in 2021, and he was 4,500 SR with that ping. So without that ping, you'd imagine he would be in like the 47, 50 range, just, easily kind of top 10 player area. And not, he's the highest rated of his team, but his team is also really good. So it's not a bad thing to lose to this team. Not at all. A slight on Kieran's skill in Lucioball. You could be like 3,800 rated full team and you'd still lose.
You can call it, it's a warm-up round, And we're seeing Head Empty again. He's just oppressively offensive. Like, we're seeing just Speed Torrent juggling this ball back and forth, not even able to let their defense do too much in this department.
Speed Torrent just punching? Wait.
Punch only?
Is he doing punch only? This is really funny. This is so BM. Come on, guys. Oh, Kieran asked for punch only. I see. I've learned that Kieran asked for them to play punch only. Okay. They might actually, this will be a more competitive game, but they actually might have a good chance even with punch only. So that would be a cruel fate. I really hope Kieran wins this game on punch only, because otherwise that is very sad.
You know what? Kieran, they're looking for a shot. They want to make it competitive,
Yeah, oh yeah, it's fun, yeah.
They're already looking better. They've got it down to their end a lot more.
Yeah, look at this ult. Solsac saving the ball with the punch. Ooh. He's crazy. Jumping up to the top of the goal. Oh, that's bad. Okay, no. Speed almost got there with the punch. That was going to be really close. Couldn't quite reach it.
We're just waiting for this, looking for the This is crazy that they're still trying to do this, but even with the beat drop here, we eventually
I believe in them.
Speed Torrent wants to show that this could be competitive. We're gonna win this with no punch only, and Kieran are just trying to make it look like that they're gonna go home. They're not going home empty-handed with this match. They want to get at least something on the board here.
You can move if you want to. Oh, no! Solsac said no.
No,
Okay.
That just shows the level of confidence that this team has, if anything. Like,
oh yeah, it reminds me a lot of this old game, like a tournament game we had back in like our first Lucioball tournaments in 2018, when one of the teams decided that they had won so badly that their striker was not going to jump anymore. Like, for the entire game, he was just going to stand still and walk around. And they still won the game. The striker couldn't jump. I mean, different time, different game, obviously, but it is I suppose it's written in the code of Lucioball to do things like this occasionally.
It's a fun thing,
Oh yeah, and us Lucioball players, we don't get a lot of chances to be like flexing, because we all talk to other top 100 players. That's who we play with. We don't get a lot of chances to like BM people. So sometimes there's some good fun here, but we'll see if Guppy can finally get a pass out. They've had a couple shots on target that have been pretty close, but Solsac has so far been jumping and punching the ball out of his own net. So
with melee only, mind that.
Yeah, with melee only, that's right. Just punching it out, yeah. Well, you can't even really clear the ball that well as a goalie with punch. It doesn't go far enough.
And all things considered, Solsac being not nearly as comfortable in that goalie role. You're still able to maintain your position defensively like that. If you're able to reach the ball, that's a completely different thing. The nice thing about these bounce pads is that you're able to just vault yourself up in the air, and there it is from Solsack again.
Solsack.
Straight out of the goal.
Stylish shot. A punch. Double
Straight
punch
over the
shot.
head.
Solsack. What an ult. Yeah, the double punch shot. This guy is crazy.
Hey, you know what? You might as well put him on striker now, too. You can have 2 strikers.
Oh yeah, have Droid in goal.
Yeah. Play more defense.
Well, at least this game is going 6 minutes, but unfortunately, I just don't have that much to say. I wish there was more going on. They are punch only, and the punch only has resulted in a 1-0 lead with 2 minutes left. So I suppose, yeah, this is the future of Lucioball, perhaps.
Future of Lucioball and just the story of the match today. That's all it is.
This is great. This is great.
It's a great way to start it out. Nice BM, and Kieran still are looking to get themselves on the board. I mean, they're trying. You can see that they're playing much more aggressive, and they're able to keep it out of their defensive zone a bit more, which is good, but they're not able to really finish these shots off because how consistent Solsack is in Speed Torrent.
And Speed Torrent missed the first punch. I thought if he hit this second punch, he missed one of the punches. If he had hit it, that would have been the craziest shot if he hits this, but then he missed the ball, so he had to come back around, which is, it was okay. Yeah, I think any team is going to play a little more aggressive when they realize that they can't get right-clicked. So there's like a lot less threat of scoring, and so you can afford to run up a little more and get more aggressive passes off. Oh, they're right-clicking now. Is that what's happening? They've given up on punches.
They're done messing around.
I'm not sure. I think I saw Droid punch right-click. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, they're all done.
Droid is the first crumble. Oh yeah, sorry.
Droid's giving up on that. I mean,
yeah, he wants to get out of here.
No.
Doesn't want to
You
spend
only got a
as
minute
much-
left. You're up 2-0, and Kieran really need to turn this around now. And given the time bank, it seems kind of unlikely, especially with the third one to be put forward.
Yeah, especially with another goal. And 3 goals in a minute is hard, even if, you know, as any team, 3 goals in a minute is going to be hard. I don't think it's going to happen here. That might have been a right click, I'm not sure. But in any case, we had enough time with punch only anyways. It's a slower game when everyone's just punching. You don't get as much exciting action, so... For our sakes, hopefully they go back to just right clicking and finishing up the game. Yeah, here's some more right clicking.
There we go.
They've decided punch only has done. They've done their bit. Speed Torrent. Now with actually a very clean shot off the top corner. Oh man.
Passing it to yourself here? I mean,
Yeah.
you want to end this before this 45 seconds is up.
Yeah, you gotta. Maybe they want to try mercying before the minute ends. So that's their goal. I'm not sure. But yeah, the passing it to yourself like that is so nice. It keeps the ball away from the mid player who's trying to interfere with you. It forces the one-on-one with the goalie with like an up-close shot. You're going to make them react. And Speed here does not need to pass to himself any more than one time in order to get a goal. He punches it up, boops it down. Fundamental Lucioball strategy. It'll get you to GM if you just do that. Just only do that, and you'll get to GM.
Basic Lucio mechanics here. We were talking about
Yeah, this is pretty good fundamental stuff. I think anyone who wants to get better at Lucioball need only watch what Speed Torrent is doing to these poor Diamond Lucioball players and do that. Just do that. It's not too bad. All right, we'll go to game 3. It sort of feels like a formality at this point. Game 3 does,
Yeah.
but certainly we'll get to watch a couple more goals, observe a couple more common mistakes maybe, and move on. As far as I can tell, the biggest mistake is that the mid player is getting dunked by Speed every time, and the goalie is missing the saves. So, you know, it's hard to comment on any sort of grand scale strategy, but it does go to show kind of how good these players are. And then if later on we get to see this team, like they might not be even on stream again. It's entirely possible they get eliminated by 2 other teams, and that goes to show how good the rest of the teams are. Either way, when we get to in a game where like it gets like really close or something, it'll be like, oh wow, gives you some appreciation for that level of play.
I mean, Kieran, just go ahead. Take it as a learning experience. Take it into your next match. It's okay. I mean, it doesn't really feel good to be down 10-0 currently, and you know, if
Especially
you're
with
just sticking this out, your mental's not good. You know, you just gotta mentally reset after this, and it's okay. You know, there's just gonna be really good teams in this tournament, and it's what we expected heading into it as well. We have the best Lucioball players in NA today, just to be expected.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see Speed Torrent feels like he's hitting the ball pretty well. Hopefully that doesn't change when he starts going up against some of the better mids in North America. I like low key kind of want this team to win. No thoughts. I like Soulsack a lot. I like Speed a lot. I think Droid's been putting in the work effort. I gotta respect that. I don't know him that well comparatively, but it'd be really cool to see those guys get some notable upsets and put some pressure on the standing guard of the Gatekeepers and whoever else ends up in their path.
Got a good start. You're looking like you're going to get yourselves a match win in this map number 3, unless Kieran somehow just turn on a win button or they got something else up their sleeve. They do have some substitutes if they decide to put them in, but I don't think we've seen any of that yet. As we're I think we
And
got
if it's up to me, I would say maybe having the Raven in the goal. I'm not sure the Ravens have the reaction time and dexterity to hit the ball out of the goal if it's getting shot. So maybe rotate a human into the goal and let the Raven play like middle or something. It might work a little better for the whole team. I'm not the coach though, so I don't know for sure. I just hypothesizing a little.
You have a bunch of flex players. Might as well
Yeah,
utilize
a lot
that.
of flex players.
So, I mean, you two got 2 on the bench too. You can rotate your positions if you feel like that you're not having the best time in the midfield. Go ahead and switch them out. This is your chance to do it. If you're probably your last chance as well. Try able to pull it together here, but I mean, even then, I think Kieran. It's not the end of the world. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, definitely not. And this team could do pretty well even against a team that, like, as long as they're not against another like 4400 SR, 4500 SR, average SR kind of team. Easily against like another team of people that are more casual on Lucioball or like. I mean, this team they have positions, right? Kieran's running positions. They have a strategy. It's not like they're all over the place like a lot of players are in the lower ranks of Lucioball. So they're totally adequate against other teams in their level. I could totally see them taking at least 1 win, maybe 2 wins in losers round for sure. It's just that the D20 rolled the D20 for random seeds, and it has given them bad luck. And now they are forced to play this very strong top 100 team in round 1.
Yeah, luck was not on your side here. So the bracket was set up. It's not necessarily tier based. It's just on wherever the dice decided to put you. Kieran did not have the best luck today.
So it seems.
Yeah, so it seems. You could still, again, losers bracket run. You might end up with teams that are in very similar situations as Kieran and could go on a losers bracket run, and we might see them later down the line as well when you get to those loser brackets matches. But, I mean, round 3 beginning now. You got 6 minutes to prove yourselves in here, Kieran.
Yeah, let's see what they can put together here. They have put the ball right in Speed Torrent's hands. Oh, nice. That was a good contest from Guppy. That's exactly what you want to see as a goalie player. Someone's dribbling up on the ceiling. Don't let him do that. Get up there and interfere. That was very good. Some adaptation here. Guppy in the net. Now he's got to clear as well. This is a new Kieran, born again.
They're looking a bit better now. I mean, hey, you know what? Maybe they just needed a mental reset. Speed Torrent is in the goal. Am I seeing this correctly?
Oh, I see. They've rotated out a little bit. They want to let Droid get some chances to hit some balls with Soulsack at the ball a few times. That makes sense. Speed Torrent's kind of warmed up already. Droid gets a bread and butter type shot off the ceiling into the net. Guppy, I think, missed the ball here, or maybe he didn't jump for it. No, he just missed the ball. That's unfortunate. He had the right idea, though. That is what you should do there. Contest that ball up high.
They're doing a good job. Like, we're seeing them actually jump up and trying to contest more in the mid-air, and I think that's something that's come up as the game has progressed. You're warming up a little bit more, and you're getting comfortable with the mechanics of actually being on this bounce pad here. And Speed Torrent as well. Like, we're just seeing that. It's in the goal. Like, if you're able to dribble it up in the ceiling in that way, kind of not. I guess it's not too hard to adjust to the goalkeeper position, but I mean, we're seeing the defense here as well from Guppy. has been looking much better, and I think that's been the main reason why Kieran has been able to keep themselves in this so far.
Yeah, here I saw Kieran a little bit there hitting the ball off the ceiling, the wall a few times, and so on. Feels like they're trying to figure out what you should do in high-level Lucioball. It's working out pretty well. That was a really nice dunk. That was a good save from Speed. That is not trivial, and another one there too. So Kieran's got a few offenses here, signs of life on. Well, I guess they have. It's because No Thoughts has no mid player, but even if they did have a mid player, the dunks are still coming in. Zolsak though does not want to let that ball get back to Speed Torrent and decides I will score it now. And jumps up in the air.
Yep, Solsak straight into the corner.
Here's something of note. I was talking earlier about Solsak kind of waiting for his opportunity as a goalie to ult until he has like full possession. And there you saw Kieran's goalie ult it, Guppy. He ulted when he didn't have the ball yet. Like the ball was in Solsak's possession when he ulted. And what's hard about that is you can make a save while you're ulting, but when you ult, your speed goes so much faster. So goalies a lot of times are caught off guard by how fast they move, and it makes them misposition their boops, and they drop saves like they did there. So as a goalie player, it's really important to try to ult only when you know you can ult and confidently like hit the ball, not get dunked, and set up for a shot. Solsak there, dunking, although it wasn't an ult. The attempt at clear. Another important part of playing goalie is being aware of where the enemy striker is, and here, you just can't shoot it right into Solsak. Gotta put that in the corner.
Goalie probably is one of the hardest jobs here in a way, to be able to like, you have to know what's going on in front of you at all times, right? You have to
you have to keep track of everyone, yeah.
And you got to know where all of your players are, you have to know where all the enemy players are and where they're getting set up. They could be jumping on the wall above you and you couldn't even know it, and that's really hard. If you're getting a shot set up from your mid to try to get it down to your striker, then that's something that you just need to be aware of. And finally, Droid is going to get one all the way down to their other end as well. And again, great use of that sound barrier too, once that ball was in their possession, just knowing exactly what they needed to do with the ball.
Exactly, yeah. It's generally the case. Yeah, nobody wants to have their ult wasted by just getting hit away. And I think we'll see that as we go later in bracket. We'll start to see players like actually get interfering with those ults like after the first hit, because the first hit, no one's gonna ult if they don't have possession after the first hit. But they'll hit it and they'll hit it again. Some other guy will jump out from the side and be like, no, this is my ball now, and cancel the ults. So we'll see some more advanced counterplay for here. But this is a great example of what happens when you don't do the correct counterplay to things like that. And that's the game. All right, Solsak gets a clean dunk on the middle player. Goalie misses it. 5-0 again. That's 3 5-0s, 15-0. It seems No Thoughts Head Empty is off to a good start in their bracket. They'll be moving on to play teams later that we probably won't watch, but they have an actual opponent. They have like a decent opponent ahead of them, so I'm looking forward to that game. I made a prediction earlier yesterday. I was talking with players, and I said that this team was going to beat the team later in winter semis, but some of the players in the community disagreed with me, so I'm curious to see what happens there so that I can, if I have my moral victory.
You gotta prove them wrong, you know? I mean, casters, sometimes you always got the caster curse, but at the same time, you also are the one that's up front. You get to cheer for the team. You're like, okay, I think I know what's going to happen. You have the extra insights there.
That's true. I could do that.
Yeah, see, there you go. And even their next round, I believe, No Thoughts, they're going to be going against the Paunch Plungers, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be their next match. We're going to be heading to a different one right after this, but looking forward to seeing how that one turns out as well. So, yeah, we're going to be looking at that momentarily. We're going to get another match ready and set up for you momentarily, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with you in a couple moments.
moving slow is what we know. If you're coming over, I just wanna be real with somebody like me. If I tell you how I'm feeling, would you say that you want me? Cause I'm so sick of all the noise, all the back and forth. Just wanna find a still place where I could go. I lose myself, I cannot help it, I'm emotional. Oh, if you feel like this, would you let me know? Would you let me know? Please let me know. Would you let me know? Oh, if you feel like this, would you let me know? Would you let me know? Please let me know. Would you let me know? White noise on the telephone, fall asleep to TV shows. It's what we know, gets too comfortable. No space for the tangible, we get lost in the virtual. Are you less alone when you're logging on? If you're coming over, I just wanna be real with somebody like me. If I tell you how I'm feeling, would you say that you want me? Cause I'm so sick of all the noise, all the back and forth. Just wanna find a still place where I could go. I lose myself, I cannot help it, I'm emotional. Oh, if you feel like this, would you let me know? Would you let me know? Please let me know. Would you let me know? Oh, if you feel like this, would you let me know? Would you let me know? Please let me know. Would you let me know?
We are back with our second match of today. This one is probably the most highly anticipated out of the teams that we have here. It's going to be McDonald's Happy Meal Sonic Adventure Quest 2002 edition. I feel like that name was strictly made to make the casters' lives difficult, but you know what? We're just going to call it Mickey D's, McDonald's, whatever feels right today, because, you know, I'm not going to remember all that. And secondly, their opponents, the Gatekeepers, which have a very fun story behind the selection of their name in this tournament.
Yeah, that's right. The Gatekeepers have founded a super team of 6 players, all of which are either tournament champions or otherwise hugely prestigious players. And their primary objective in this tournament is to prevent Mick Jagger of McDonald's Happy Meal from winning this tournament. They do not want him to win the tournament because if he wins, that will be his second tournament in one event, and then he'll be given the special role that only the select chosen few have achieved in their lives. The 2-timer role, which is probably not even a good joke anymore, honestly. Like, the joke kind of died like 6 months ago, but somehow Log and Boss and Comet still care about it enough to prevent disaster from occurring and Mick Jagger becoming a 2-timer. There's a little more to the team, obviously. They're all just like people that are really active in the community and very good in the community. But they're here to gatekeep anybody from winning this tournament by hogging all the players that could even remotely upset them in bracket. They're like, They will all be playing though today. It's not just substitutes for the sake of substitutes. So we'll get to see some good games. This is a really good game. I mean, this like in a different universe where the D20 rolls differently, this could have been like winners finals easily. These are very strong teams. Ixmos and McJagger and Bennis have all had times throughout these last 3 weeks of event where they've looked like just unstoppable. They've just looked incredible. And similarly, Hulk Smash and Leet and Log and Boss have all looked like that as well. And Panda and Sokaki are not bad players by any means. I'm not sure that they've looked unstoppable this event, but certainly they're very capable of putting on the numbers. A lot of those guys are like old veterans of the community, like Panda and Leet and stuff, been playing since like 2017. And it's just like, we've just been here forever and constantly playing. I think Boss has been here since 2018 as well. I'm not sure he played 2017.
This game, it's crazy to think about how long this game's been out in general.
Yeah, this is the 7th year. 7th year of Lucioball. We're going to get to watch some really high quality matches. This is going to be some crazy defense. Ixmos is one of the best lockdown mids in the entire game, like in the world. There's not a lot of good lockdown mids overseas, so actually being the best lockdown mid in North America pretty much means you're the best in the world. So we'll get into here. Log is going to be playing striker. Leecher is going to be playing goalie. Log was a striker main in 2019, back when he, or 2018 I think actually, when he was like ranked 6 in North America. And in 2019 he transitioned to goalie and got rank 1, and he has not let go of it since. But he's gone striker this time. We'll see how those skills of the past warm up today against Ixmos.
Gotta brush the dust off of those skills a bit. It's a very different skill set when you think about it, of playing the goalie. I mean, if you're able to hit this ball with pinpoint accuracy, that's a good way to be able to do it, but I think it's less reactionary and more having control over your mechanics in this way, and that's why we're seeing it being such a back and forth game. No team is really... We're seeing the players kind of play more on their own defensive ends right now. Like, more of the defensive sides, and really only the strikers that have been past the deadline.
Yeah, well, Boss is struggling a little to get this ball out, and I think part of that is Ixmos just dunking Log 50 times in a row. Although I say that, but now Log has possession, and that's a scary situation. Log's going to be ulting. Nobody wants that. But a really clutch dunk from Bennis, just hitting it second there. If he hits it first, he just gets scored on instantly. So a lot of goalies do not want, their nightmares are being in that position with the ball right in front of them and the striker right behind it. Bennis deals with it pretty well. And McJagger keeps possession. This is a back and forth game. This is what I wanted to see.
It is very back and forth. It's nothing like the one that we just watched, and I think it's very good to see a different change of pace here. I love that we put the name in Mixonic Toy, by the way. You get a bit of every aspect of their name in general, and I think I'm just going to kind of show how their matches be played. They got a bunch of players that are just kind of going to be all over the place. They're from different backgrounds, but they're able to, again, some of the best players in the world. This game mode specifically.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are... It seems McJagger has scored. Lead Cheerios is an amazing goalie. I have nothing bad to say about him. But that's going to go in on anybody. That goes in on everybody in goal. So close to you, and when the ball's right above your head like that, it's really hard because you have to look up, but not like all the way up, and you can't jump into the ball because that would be going too far up. So the timing gets really precise on when you boop that, and a lot of times you'll see strikers, if they have a chance to, they might as well put a shot right over their head and see if they can save it. It goes in on a lot of people. So a nice shot from McJagger, good awareness, and Boss might feel bad about that, tighten up a little bit his action. I'm not sure. There's so much stuff going on. This is such a complicated strategy game now with all these kind of elite level players. So it'll be really exciting to see what kind of adjustments they start making.
A lot more thinking and playing together with your team instead of what we saw last time. It was just more kind of just getting the ball. You're so focused on getting the ball out of your defensive end. Now since it's a much more balanced match. You see that? What?
Bennis from across the map. Well, one of the nice things about when you have teams and good comms and stuff is rotation. So Ixmos can rotate into goal, and that gives Bennis the confidence to ride that ball all the way up the wall, down in front of the goalie, and get that dunk. Real clean stuff.
It's a really good using mechanic, and that's the problem when you're with this. When you have that sound barrier available, it is so important that that ball is immediately taken away from that player, because if you're letting them dribble that ball all the way down to the end of the map with that speed boost, he's basically uncontested. If they already passed you, you have no hope of catching up, and that's why it's such a great time to use that ultimate. If you're able to kind of balance it out and struggle, or make your opponent struggle to kind of keep up with you, and you're able to balance it down. But even Elite Cheetos now, Cheerios want to take a bit more of an aggressive approach with their own sound barrier. But and that's the hardest part about it, is you have to be kind of an all-arounder in this area. Boss.
Luckily, Boss is not wasting his ult at all. Great stuff from Boss. Well, it's not it's a good dunk here, and then just beats out both goalies. So really clean stuff. All three of them were back for that, and he's still got over 2 people in the goal. That's the kind of nightmare situation you have to score on when you're playing against really good players. Ixmos especially is kind of infamous for this. Just like, he rotates back into goal, and now you have 2 goalies to score on at the same time. It's like, that's harder. It is harder.
When you're thinking about the role of the mid player, you need to know how to play both defensively and offensively, and how to balance that time. And I think that why their role is a little lot difficult. I kind of think of it like D.Va in your more traditional Overwatch games, where you need to balance between peeling for your backline in certain compositions, and also pushing the aggressive and taking your tools. And I think that's a lot what we're seeing from these mid players, and why they're so elite at this high level.
Yeah, Ixmos traditionally has been a lot more of a defensively focused player. I mean, he can score very well, obviously, with his ults, but otherwise kind of tends to focus on just preventing the opponent from getting the ball, which is going to be pretty important if you got Log as a striker. Comparatively, I think Boss is a little more all-around in that aspect, a little more flexible on getting the offense going. But the sort of archetypal strategy, I'm not even sure if I really know how Boss plays mid, and maybe that's a comment on how good Boss is at playing mid, that he changes it up so much. I never really know what to expect from him. But whatever it is, it's always going to be good. And mid players are always fun for me to analyze, but even when they're not necessarily scoring.
Having that unpredictability as well is a really good thing in general, just because if you're able to play well, if your teammates can understand how you're trying to play, and your opponents never do, you can prepare for things like this. But then if you're just going to switch it up every time, you don't really know what's going to happen. And that's when you're going to see these 2 players rushing really far in, and then you're also going to see them peeling back more defensively. Oh, that was a really nice save there.
Yeah, so the Gatekeepers really need a goal right now, so they are playing double up.
Yeah.
And the levels of double up here, this is easily some of the best 2-up strikers I've seen in a while, and I think part of it is that you got 2 veterans of the game who know how to play 2 strikers up when you're in desperation mode. Leech here is going to ult here, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Trying to get a pass off his team, but no teammates are there on the pad. They were not expecting his ult, I suppose. The first real misplay on 2 strikers that I've seen, but not a really huge one.
Probably one of their
10 seconds left.
It up. I mean, you got 10 seconds here. This ball needs to get down there, or it's in the blue side's end, but Gatekeepers are just volleying it back and forth. In round 1, it's going to be going the way of our Mixonic toy. And, Gatekeepers looked very good there, and I think it was a much more balanced play. But we're seeing a lot more of balanced play. But at the same time, I think it's the force towards the aggression on the end wasn't played out the best that it could have in terms of communication.
Yeah, just right at the end, there was it's just like a one thing, but honestly, this game could go either way. I'd be curious to see what kind of adaptations the Gatekeepers make, because on the one hand, the players all have the skill to win this game, and they all know it. On the other hand, maybe Boss was a little rusty in the beginning, or I don't know. I mean, I wasn't watching his perspective all the way through, so I can't say for sure, but it's also objectively true that McJagger was playing very well, and Ixmos was locking down Log pretty well. He did not have a lot of offense, and that wasn't for lack of effort. That was because Ixmos was hitting the ball away. So, we'll have to see what happens as we get into the game 2, whether or not the Gatekeepers want to do a substitute or want to get a strategy talk. The Gatekeepers are, as far as I know, the only team that has a coach. All the other teams don't have coaches, but Early Bird signed on to be their coach. So we'll see if he jumps in and discusses strategy with them. They did claim that they would be getting lots of coach usage out of him during this tournament. We'll see. It seems that the teams remain unchanged. No substitutes have been made. I thought they might want to substitute Hulk Smash for Log, but Hulk Smash might not want to play against Ixmos either.
You can't blame him. Xmos is looking really good today. So
yeah, that's very true.
And if it's your first game on as well, it's not exactly the matchup you'd want to take because you're playing against this player that's already had a match to go in, and you're standing back and watching. And I think that's where the advantage of having that coach position will come in, is that you're able to have somebody that is sitting back, watching and just analyzing this play, and you're able to work off of it much better. So I want to see if Gatekeepers are going to be able to use that information that their coach has provided them to kind of help them here in the second round.
You'll have to see. Early Bird is definitely a pretty flexible player, so hopefully he knows a lot about what was going on and get some advice going. Boss is up on Striker. I've noticed that for starters. Boss has rotated to Striker and Log is playing mid now. Certainly Log is not a mid player, but it simply doesn't matter because he's Log and he can do everything because he's like amazing. So I'm sure him on mid will go just fine for them. And Boss is potentially going to play a better Striker. We'll have to see. But that is at least the first adjustment they seem to have made. Is let Boss go up and let some Striker play.
Sound barrier. I mean, originally you had that ball in your possession, but great defensive play from, I believe it was Xbox who came up and just swiped it right back.
Yeah, I alluded to this earlier that you'd start seeing things like that once people start ulting, that at the highest level, not every ult goes uncontested, and there's a lot of that going to go on here. Boss almost getting a pretty nice dunk off the ceiling, which would have set up into a proper shot, but gets hit, misses the ball, hits it away. We have an ult coming out from McJagger. The Striker ults are always scary because they, you know, they score, that's what they do, so when they get going really fast, it's even scarier. Xmos there, contested on mid by Log a little bit, just enough to get that ball out of there. Scary stuff, but so far it seems the Gatekeepers have defended the majority of the ult. We'll see if Venice decides to bring his ult out and go across the map. Not when he's getting shot on like this.
It's very hard because you're seeing Xbox has been playing a lot more defensive this round. I haven't seen them move too much past that mid line, and they're just kind of chilling back off by their own bounce pads. And it's kind of been working out in their favor, honestly. They're just they're playing more defensively until somebody is able to get on point, and I think that's when they're starting to use their ultimates a bit more. That's when they're going to start to take that aggressive initiative. We're just going to move in, but I mean, you're playing so far back that it's just been a bunch of neutral games so far.
Yeah, and you'll see that a lot. I certainly think Xmos, I would do the same thing Xmos is doing if I saw Boss as the Striker I needed to cover, because that guy, if you gave him the ball for too long, like, I don't know, he does not waste your time with needless touches. He will sometimes hit the ball 5 times off the ceiling, and sometimes he'll just shoot it in, and you just don't know what he's going to do. He's so unpredictable like that, and it makes a mid player's life very stressful. So it does not surprise me at all that Xmos has decided I'd rather make sure Boss gets the ball as little as possible than I would like worry about scoring. And there's an element of trust to that, like trusting that McJagger is going to be able to win against logging and get enough shots on target to, you know, make a real threat even without a bunch of support from the mid player. I think there's something to that. McJagger certainly that caliber of player. He could do it.
Could do it, but it's also hard.
Speaking of.
Okay. You know, I'm just gonna end my previous sentence right there. McJagger just proven that he's a strong striker player that we're hyping him up to be.
Yeah, well, it's always fun to watch McJagger play. It's a simple 2-shot, but the first poop off the ceiling gets it behind Log, so then it's just a one-on-one with Leet. And as I said before, you're never gonna win every single direct save. Leet's playing pretty well right now, but that ball is he's gonna feel bad about that. Goalie players also, like, you let one goal in and you start feeling, oh no, I should have saved it. You ignore all the other saves that could have been made. Boss, off the wall, off the ceiling, into the goal, looking like shades of 2020 meta. Very nice.
It's a great volley off the corner. And I like to see that they're using the side, like every angle of the map as well to their advantage. And it's not like there's too many barriers in the way that like you might see with other the Lucioball maps. We're just doing it plain and simple without all of these walls that you need to worry about, and I think it makes it a lot more, like it might make the gameplay simpler in idea, but it also leaves it open for a lot more strategy within the team, since you're always aware of where that ball is coming from and how it's going to be, so it's more reactions.
Yeah, a lot of the maps that we don't play in tournament, you know, the Busons and the Sydney Harbors, the reason we don't play them is like they're designed to make you not do the stuff that works really well on a Stadio. So it's like there's pillars in the way of your passing lanes, or oh, now it doesn't matter about like passing across the map is less important or harder to do low passes and stuff like that. Like they block off your passing lanes, they force you to play differently, and sometimes that's cool and sometimes that's very generic, because by forcing you to do one play style, you only have one play style. So all the games start looking very similar, and I think a lot of players got very tired of playing the same exact game over and over again with different players just because of what the map is. Stadio is a lot more free-flowing in that sense.
1 minute remaining in the match.
Then you go down indication, 1 minute remaining. Jagger with a sound barrier, but not able to get the ball under their control. They're actually getting it down to the end, but Log, great defense from them, able to clear it out. But I mean, just like that, we're looking at these strikers again.
I don't know
Jagger,
how Log didn't hit
straight into the
that.
back. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Log was right there.
I think he got dunked, but I'm not sure. I want to see what happened there. How did Log not connect this ball? Oh yeah, okay. This was a ping. He's gonna be upset. I'm sure he's saying to his chat, "I love Lucioball" or something along those lines, because that ball really he should have gotten to that. Although I don't know, maybe Lee should have saved it too. I'm not sure what should have happened, but should have is one thing. But the fact is, McJagger scored another goal and Boss has not. So we got 30 seconds left, and this Gatekeepers team really does not want to be down 2-0 going into this sort of set. Nobody wants to be forced to make the reverse sweep, even though I know they could do it. Leaf's got his ult, he wants to change something, and he does! Off the top! That precision aim, I think he got a dunk on the mid player there and put it right up on the top, below the top crossbar. Super well placed shot from Lee. Yeah, he did dunk him, yeah.
That timing was just perfect. You needed that goal to happen very soon. I mean, now you're at 70 seconds. It's not over. A team could totally just come up right off the bat and get this one in. But look how far back that they're playing right now. It's almost, they're trying to draw it out for the overtime, but even Xmos wants to push this one forward and doing their best to do so, but honestly, taking to the overtime here is probably one of the better options we're going to see.
Yeah, and we've entered into overtime off of the very clutch ult from Leet. Leet usually doesn't leave the goal that much to ult, so I was really glad to see it paid off there. 30 seconds, he got the goal, and we're 2-2 overtime. This overtime could go a while, or it could go like 10 seconds. So I'm not sure how intense we're going to be getting here as we start with the no timer, next score wins kind of game.
Beauty of overtime. You never really know what's going to happen until it happens. It's just this quick last second thing just like that. And McJagger, they've scored all 3 of their goals, earning themselves a hat trick.
Yeah, McJagger setting up for the dunk there to end overtime. Off the wall, right into Leet's face, and if you're Leet, you're kind of annoyed there, I'm sure. Like, what are you supposed to do? The ball's right there. You can't just not hit it. Leet gets play of the game with his ult, though, which might be deserved even if they lost the game, because this was quite a play. Very precise dunk of Xmos to get that game-tying goal that unfortunately didn't turn out into a game, but was nevertheless very nice.
It's the clutch play you needed to get it going into overtime. I mean, at least you got there, even if you weren't able to pull it out. You're still able to keep your team in the match for as long as it is. It's time for the reverse sweep, though. Like you said, it's completely 100% doable here. But being down 2 matches doesn't feel good mentally. You gotta kind of take a breath, listen to what your coach has got to say, and I wonder even, maybe we might start seeing some of these swaps in here.
Yeah, it would not surprise me at all to see Leet Cheerios substitute out Log take goalie, Boss take mid, and then put in Hulk Smash as a striker, or something along those lines. Not at all surprising to me. There's a lot of really good players on this team that could substitute in and perform very well. So I'm not sure what they're talking about or what kind of options they're discussing. I think Boss's striker worked better for sure. I don't know. I think it would always hurt your soul to take Log out of the game because he is the rank 1 player and everyone knows he's the best in North America. But obviously when he's forced out of net, you know, maybe he's not the best in North America when he's not a goalie. So it seems they've not made a change in position. They feel like that overtime loss was a fluke of some sort, or they can make a strategy adjustment instead of a thing. Although Boss is on middle right now, I do wonder if they're going to do that permanently. Log has decided, no, never mind, I'm going back up.
I'm going to be back on the offense here. They're just making these changes again and again, which is what you want to see. I mean, clearly, if you're doing the same thing over and over again, that's not working out. It's not what you want to be doing in a team setting, so that's why you have the opportunity to swap things up. And the nice thing about Lucioball, it's not a set thing. You can just go ahead. You can switch this thing mid-match if you feel that it's necessary in that area. And I want to see if Gatekeepers are going to try to keep this up, because even now, you're seeing how hard they're struggling to get this ball out of their zone, and Sonic are not putting up with the pressure.
That was really scary. You saw how close McJagger was to hitting that ball, and that was going to be really hard to save. So, luckily for them, it has been put right out of his range, and Log's got a bit of an offense right now going on Venice. A siege. We'll see what happens here. Ooh, and Log is definitely already compared to game 1, I feel like Log is definitely dunking Xmos a lot more and keeping that ball on their side on that attack longer. So maybe that's what Log was seeing. Like, I know, I feel it now. I feel ready to take on the striker.
Feeling ready to move up.
That was an awesome pass from Boss and great ult from Log. Unfortunately, it got cleared, but he still has a chance.
Great setup, and you got another second, and it's just gonna be back
Yeah,
down
that's
in your
unfortunate.
way.
That was a really
setup.
good pass.
Yeah. It was a really good setup, and it's really unfortunate that didn't work out. And now everyone's just gonna be chaining up these sound barriers. Boss and able to be a bit more defensive in this one because Xbox using theirs at exactly the same moment. I mean, nothing to show for it. It's nearly 2 minutes in, and it's been a lot of more close moments, I would say. Like, you're seeing these times where it's all the way down, it's getting held on one end for a very long time, just to be put back down. And, like, ooh.
That was a misplay. Xmos hit the ball away. Venice was trying to roll it up the wall to get like a wall up the ceiling kind of ult that we've seen a couple times now. He wanted something like that, but Xmos did not understand the ult was coming and just cleared it right to the enemy mid, and that's a wasted ult for Venice. We'll see if that comes back to bite the Mcdonald away team in the butt.
We don't want to. We don't like fighting, but you know, it's gonna be hard to try to hold on this defense. So Leech is just kind of chilling in the back right now, and we're seeing just how aware that these players are of what's happening. So, like, if you're making out these callouts as well, with where this ball is kind of playing and how you need to be able to adjust to that, is really important. So you're in the offense, you kind of take, or you're on the offense then, you're almost taking a 1v2, depending on where your mid is deciding to play defensively. And we've seen it from Jagger, who's been okay with Xmos playing that more defensive style. Log and Boss as well have been trying to try new ways of playing out on more aggressive.
I'll take it.
And you see there, you know, you're talking about 1v2, and it is 1v2, but it's like you get the one-on-one. If you get two one-on-ones, like here, you know, you pass Xmos with the first boop off the wall, and then once you hit out the ceiling a few times to force the interaction with Venice, and then the shot placement is phenomenal from Log. That ball barely was almost not in at all, but rolls off the post and ends up in the net. Great shot. And now the Gatekeepers have a lead, and they've got an ult coming on, so they've got some pressure. They're feeling a little better now. Maybe the pressure's now on the Mcdonald's team for a little bit of a retaliation goal of their own.
I mean, you got time. Time is on your side. In this way, Log, the striker, not able to do much with that sound barrier as well. That's going to be really good for McDonald's to feel like, okay, we don't have to worry about this anymore, that they're willing to play a bit more maybe offensive after not really have to worry about just shooting back this defense because Log has a sound barrier to just push them all back.
And they're getting some offense here, but it's not going to last that long. These sort of shots from midfield are not going to be going in on lead anytime soon. An attempted ceiling kind of shot from Venice, but Venice is not in net, and Xmos makes a clutch rotation save. Even in this event too, like recently, this like last couple weeks, and McJagger's been playing a lot of goalie as well. He's been like starting to flex into goal. And I will not lie, McJagger's goalie is pretty good. So I think anyone on the Mixonic toy team is able to play goalie if they need to rotate for someone's ult, which is always a good thing to have that kind of flexibility that not every team is going to have, depending on their ping or skill set or whatnot.
They only have 3 players, so having that flexibility is going to be really good, especially later down the line. If something ends up not working, or somebody's just a little off, you always have that option to rotate players, depending on where Jagger takes the opportunity with sound barrier, gets it up to the ceiling. It's going to be vaulted away. It's a nice defensive play there, but gets it right back up.
Ooh, scary done. Yeah, that was almost on target, and there's something to be said, you know, obviously you're not going to hit every shot, but that is scary. Boss has got to contest this, and he uses his ult to contest it. The confidence Boss has to ult there when he does not have possession. He's like, I know I'm gonna hit this ball, so I don't need to worry too much about it. That's pretty nice. We got Log's ult. Well, that's always scary. Okay, no, it looks like it's cleared out.
Oh, cleared out and straight into the other net.
Yeah, straight into McJagger, and he puts it in the near bottom corner. That bottom corner shot, nasty. Always tricking goalies since the dawn of time. They never get it.
Like, it's such
Really
a
nice
slim
position.
margin. Like, it almost doesn't look like it should go in, which is why it's so deceiving in a way. You're expecting for the higher shots, or the ones that are just above the head that we saw earlier, because those are the ones that you might say, oh, those might be harder to block. But if you're just going straight for the low end, you're like, oh, it's not going to be expected, because especially at this level, you're aiming for these more difficult shots.
Yeah, and putting it on the near post too means that the ball, you don't have a lot of reaction time. Like, the ball gets in the net as fast as possible, and there's an element of how that gets important too. If you lob the shot over like the back corner or something, the goalie has all day to look at it, you know? That was scary. Oh my gosh. McJagger just had a shot on net there. We didn't get to see it exactly, but Leet barely saved it. And 1-1 with 10 seconds left. Are we going to see another overtime, or are we going to see a buzzer beater shot? We'll have to find out. I'm a fan of overtime. You know, always a fan of close games. I knew this one would be close going into it, but McJagger, that's Ixmos. Ixmos' shot almost goes in, but he doesn't actually get the shot off in time with that ball. And we've kind of started settling into a more standard play, although McJagger's got a real shot on target there. What a save from Leet. That is what I like to see. Some good goalie play. We want to get a crazy ult, something like that going in here. Maybe not a... I was hoping that Boss's misplay as mid, leaving McJagger alone, wasn't going to cost him the game, and it looks like Log's got the ult now. Going forward, gets cleared away.
Had the ultimate, but not the ball. And that's gonna make
Yeah. You can get to the ball, but pretty fast though, you know.
You kind of both of those things kind of need to be able to work together. So close. Like, Gatekeepers, they know this is match point right here. They need to be able to get this ball in the net, otherwise they're going down to the losers bracket, and that's not a great way to start your tournament run by any means. Granted, you still have a big chance of getting it in, as a lot of the sound barriers on Sonic, they're coming out right now. We got 2 of them on the field, but this expert defense from Cheerios is just denying all of these shots over and over again.
Double ults, which is usually not preferred. Usually in Lucioball, you want to have one ult at a time so that one player can keep controlling the ball. Another really nice shot on target from Log, and he just gets passed for the ball right again. You know, these teams are just trading blows right now, and it's about which goalie is going to crack first in this pretty high stakes overtime. Elimination point for Gatekeepers, as you've said. But you know, Mcdonald definitely does not want to let the Gatekeepers back into the game. After we've seen how dangerous they can be, you know, you don't want to get it too far ahead of yourselves. You know, let's end it quickly before they can get too far on the adaptation front and start making it harder for us.
I mean, Sonic, if they're to drop the point here, that could be the hope that the Gatekeepers need, the push that they need to get the ball rolling. It all just comes down.
And that ball does seem to be rolling, but in the wrong direction for them.
It's rolling, it's flying, but in the way you want it to go. I mean, you made the comment earlier about the goalies who's going to crack first. The one thing I will point out, I was a goalie for several years, like in actual soccer. It has to get through every single one of your teammates before it gets to you first. So, and that's like the important thing to remember. It's a lot of pressure on these goalies, but we're also seeing that how you're taking these fights, it's specifically 1v2. These mids are playing a lot farther back now than we've seen before. It's just a lot of reliance on these strikers to make it through these players and just overwhelm them.
Here, Boss is coming up with an attack. Misses the ball a couple times, and oh, that was almost on target. Can you imagine that? That would have been crazy. But Boss is going to rotate back. You know, Boss is never afraid to go up and use his ult to try to get an offense, even if it means letting McJagger get his own offense on the goalie. But as the Sonic Toy goalie has saved, so too has Leet Cheerios. And it seems we've almost reset to the neutral game. Here it's neutral.
A little
Leet
less tense
now.
right now, but Leet, their own, to be denied too. And I mean, Leet out of the net there was probably a really good opportunity, but you're so concerned about the potential of that sound barrier being out Now Log has their own. It's in the striker's hand, but just cleared straight back down again. It's so back and forth here. Like, there's not... It's which team is going to make a mistake first. That is all it's about right now.
Yeah, just that one error is going to be really important. And you said about Leet leaving the net being an opportunity, and for almost every single team in the tournament, I would agree that their goalie going for an ult is an opportunity. But for Leet, the guy rotating into goal is the rank 1 goalie in North America. So unfortunately, it's not really an opportunity as much as it's just the same old deal, same skill level situation. The Gatekeepers are full of a lot of talent, and it's indicative of the sort of grind that Bennis, Ixmos, and McJagger have been on over the last year or two. That they're holding their own really well in this game. Bennis' ult here coming out.
You're up 2-0 right now against Gatekeepers, which are probably one of the favorites. I mean, both of these teams are definitely... Is it going to be totally a match? We're going to see a repeat of the Grand Finals.
Oh, it's very possible. There's one other team that could beat these teams, but it's very possible that this ends up being Grand Finals as well.
Hey, can it just be our sneak peek right now, you know? I mean, we're just seeing it now and how solid this is. We have not really seen the ball even go near the net at this point because of all of the work that these mids have been doing to keep the ball away. And it's crazy how they're able to juggle their priorities like this and knowing where their positioning needs to be. And it's such a key role that they're going to have, especially in these overtime situations.
Leet's got a lot of pressure on him there. He was alone. Boss and Log had both gone come up for an extended offense, but when you trust your goalie there, that's really important. And Leet's coming through clutch, showing him why they made the right decision, not subbing him out or anything. He's not misplaying. He is standing firm in this pressure situation.
Oh, McJagger had such a huge opportunity right there to get it in, but unfortunately couldn't get the shot lined up.
You have to imagine as an overtime gets this long, the players start getting real shaky. It's like, oh gosh.
Adrenaline's building up. You're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? We can't give this up now. It's crazy. I mean, it's not a good feeling. Like, you're so tense. You're like white knuckling your mouse right now. It's like,
yeah.
Not an easy situation to be in. And it's not even, it's the very first round. Like, it's not even a very high match in our bracket. So if we're seeing this now in our very early rounds, imagine what it's going to look like later on.
Yeah, once they get warm, if this ends up being Grand Finals, it'll be pretty scary. Where did that ball go? That was almost in. That was really close. You see this a lot, like both of these teams, because it's overtime and they're both so they really don't want to drop this overtime. They're like rotating all the way back. They're doing not just 2 mids, but sometimes they run all of their players back, like a striker comes back on defense, because they just really don't want to get scored on. So much so that they'd rather pass up the offensive opportunity and just say like, nah, I don't care about passes. I just need to prevent this from going in, and that's happening a lot on these ultimates.
Jagger, we're seeing this match. I think we're almost double the original match time at this rate with the amount of overtime extension.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the overtime length is, but I did say this overtime could go on for a while last time, and it seems we got one fast overtime and one long overtime here.
Oh yeah. You just had to say it, But here's the crazy thing: it's gonna be over in a blink of an eye.
Oh yeah, only one mistake.
Exactly, that's all it is. And that's how the hardest part about Lucioball is it's so fast. It's so fast that you need to be able to make these quick decisions. And if you're not able to do it, your time is up. That's all it is. It's just done. Like that. And you don't have time to recover from it. And we're even Log again with their 3rd sound barrier of this overtime as well. Ixmos!
Ixmos gets a nice clutch save there. After Bennis saves the first one, Ixmos saves the second one. And the rotation into goal pad is paid off here. That's double goalie works for a reason. We're setting it back up into the same position. Now it's Ixmos' turn to ult, and after that, Ben's. Oh, jeez. This is so back and forth. I feel like so many of these shots could score. Every time someone ults, I'm holding my breath. It is rough.
So close. I'm feeling the intensity over here. I'm feeling it. I'm like, what's gonna happen? And my eyes are just everywhere on the screen. You gotta know what's happening, and it's so hard to tell because there's not... These players are just playing so incredibly well that it's not really who's...
Yeah, they're definitely tightened on the defense. Both these goalie players are like turned up at the same time. And speaking of goalie players turned up, this is Ben's ult, the goalie player, but it gets saved there. Again, that is just a good save. There's no like misplay there. Ben played that ult very well. It's just you can't hit everyone. And then immediately he makes his own good save. Wow. Okay. And then Ixmos gets the clear. So all these defenses, I mean, they're even the offenses too. They're all playing like really well. This is like super close. I'm not sure how long they can keep up this level of play for.
They definitely had their coffee this morning. They're able to keep this up with as much energy that they're showing right now.
Yeah, Log was telling me yesterday that he was going to make sure to sleep in a little bit because he knew he had a bye. So I'm sure he's thanking, thanking himself for taking that extra hour to sleep in, because it's turned out pretty well for their team in this overtime. Although maybe not overall because they are down 2-0.
It's toughy. I mean, it's 1-1, and I think that's why Gatekeepers are fighting so hard for this. Is that they know that this match, this one's gonna haunt them later. If they go down to the losers bracket, their job is gonna be a lot more difficult. I mean, if you think about it, maybe your opponents might be a bit easier than this one here, but at the same time, you're also worried about, you're losing that extra cushion you have of that double bracket, the double elimination bracket. If you lose this one now, then you're at the risk of going home much sooner than you expected.
Yeah, and you really don't want that if you're the Gatekeepers, because then you are not in the position to gatekeep. At least if you're a Gatekeeper, at least you have to be the final boss, right? I mean, you can't be the Gatekeeper and get 3rd place, and I think that's kind of a scary prospect for them. So they really don't want to go down here. And there's McJagger.
There it is!
And just like that, on the sheet, on the score sheet, on the bracket, it's gonna say 3-0. And we will know that was not a that was not a dominant 3-0. But McJagger, very nice shot. He gets it away from the middle player and puts that shot top corner in. Leeds made a number of those saves in this game, but he didn't make this one. And who can blame him? This is a crazy shot. That dribble is so nice. So nice.
It was crazy. And it took like 8 minutes for that goalie to finally crack. And that's all it takes. Lucioball,
the dribble there is so nice, moving that ball like away from the middle player, because you have the ball on the left wall, enemy mid player's right there. I'm gonna hit it off the ground away from him so he can't reach it, and I get a chance to shoot on target. Super clean stuff from McJagger. He's surely putting that in one of his montages, and then we'll see them later on in bracket, winners finals probably. Actually, that's not right. Winter semifinals, they have a matchup against a really strong team as well. So maybe we'll get to see that, maybe not. But really good game, and I would be shocked if the Gatekeepers did not make it back on stream in losers finals.
They got a journey ahead of them, that's for sure. But still a very strong team indeed, and wouldn't be surprised to see them back by any means. And we just got word from our producers that was a 9-minute overtime, Pajabber. 9 minutes.
9-minute overtime. That is really long. I have played in 9-minute overtime tier games before. That takes something out of you. That's like a part of your soul gets traded for the stamina you need to keep going. Awesome play by both teams. So I'm entertained. I'm thrilled. Hopefully we see these teams again. I'm looking forward to it. The more of these games we get, the better it is.
And the more we will get, as we have another couple of matches here for us to keep moving. We got one more break ahead, though, to get these players all ready in the lobby. Grab a snack, don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Can the tides calling, calling through it all? Titans watching, waiting. Once rivals, now we sit patient. At the end of the world, where will we be? Immortality is calling. They'll speak our names forever. Gonna build an empire. Twin pillars, the east and the west, scorch our names in the dirt. They're calling us in. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? At the end of the world, where will we be? Immortality is calling. They'll speak our names forever. Eclipse the world together. Gonna build an empire. Build an empire. Take the world by fire. Gonna build an empire. This is what we've been waiting for. They don't know we've been keeping score. This is our destiny. Can you hear the calling? At the end of the world, where will we be? Immortality is calling. Speak our names forever. Eclipse the world together. Gonna build an empire. Gonna build an empire. Gonna take the world by fire. Gonna build an empire. An empire. An empire.
After a banger of a second match, it is time for match number 3. Today we have returning team No Thoughts Head Empty. Really glad that we can see them play once more against a new one. It is the Grass Touchers as well. So, very well-known players in the Overwatch community on the Grass Touchers, such as David. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Jabrick, you know them pretty well, too.
David 8686406, the GOAT. Yeah, David's been in the community for a while. Everyone really likes him. He's brought a number of people over, showed us some other kind of fun custom game stuff. Really looking forward to watching him play. He's not just popular, he's also pretty good. So he'll be in the goal, and we'll get to see some good goalie play. Him versus Speed Torrent's going to be a big matchup. In general, just to touch on No Thoughts Head Empty, I had mentioned after we had watched them decimate Kieran that their next game might be a bit more of like a challenge. There might be some competition there. But according to the record, they won 3-0. So clearly they're feeling themselves. They're feeling good going into this game with the Grass Touchers. So the other players on this team that I know a little better, Viper, or with two eyes, just Viper, is kind of one of these guys that has come in with this new wave of like young players that grind ults in custom games. There's a whole category. There's like 7 of them. And so I'm looking forward to watching him play. He's really flashy when he gets going. And he's going to be up against the Droid middle. And Droid is another one of these young players. So I'm sure Viper and Droid have a bunch of experience with each other. It would not surprise me if we get to see some fun attack there. And then the other player is Raichu, who's one of these guys that kind of has gotten better, gotten on the grind, gotten better recently, even though he's, I think, played for a little longer than Viper has. And Raichu versus Speed Torrent, you know, I like Raichu. I'm cheering for him. Speed Torrent usually we expect it to outplay Raichu there, but then David is of course probably a better goalie than Solsak is. Solsak of course is not a goalie main in general, so it's going to be a really interesting game. There's going to be some dynamics to it. Like once Viper gets past Droid, you know, will he get shots on? You know, how well can Solsak adapt to goalie? How well can Raichu adapt to Speed Torrent? Those are kind of going to be like those big weak links that are going to need to step up, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to work out well. I mean, I love both those players are good. To be clear, no one in this game is bad. So it's just like good versus even better than good. It's not an insult in the slightest. There's some substitutes on the Grass Touchers. Hagrid and Zara. Zara used to play with Raichu a lot in Copa, but I don't know him. I didn't play that much at that kind of low GM rating last year. Not to brag or anything, but it was not. I haven't played with Zara a lot, so I'm not sure about Zara or Hagrid's skill level. But they are substitutes, so in case Raichu needs to get out of there or Viper's busy or something happens, you know, they might dip out. But I would expect the starting lineup to be David, Viper, and Raichu.
To be expected, and even with no thoughts here, this match will be a true test of how well their players are going to be able to adapt to these positions. We're talking about Solsak specifically on that goalie, potentially one of the weak points, but also potentially a point where that they could really prove how strong they are in a different role as well, and that they can be flexible. And I think compared to their very first match with Kieran that wasn't entirely heavily contested, I mean, they did have another one before this. Granted, it was a 3-0. After our last match, you know, the score doesn't always tell the whole story, okay? So, again, we could have had another game where it was a 9-minute overtime like that. You could have just had it was a quick, easy 3-0 like the first one. So that's kind of the fun thing about Lucioball here, is I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup between these two teams that are both trying to prove something in this sense. But it is going to be Grass Touchers that are going to have a bit more of the flexibility and a bit more of the team coordination because they've been in the scene a lot longer, from my understanding.
Yeah, and that's true. The Grass Touchers team is not flexing into any positions they're not used to. Raichu is a mid player, Viper's a striker player, David's a goalie player. You know, Solsak, I remember back in like 2021 when he started coming up into the big things, and he was just a one-trick striker. He only did striker. And then it was later he was like, you know, it's actually pretty valuable to be able to flex out and play other roles. And he started learning mid. And then this most recent event, suddenly I saw Solsak playing goalie, and I was like, what's going on here? How is Solsak learned goalie? So, you know, players like this are just very talented and that can adapt anyways. So while on the one hand, it wouldn't surprise me to see Solsak get scored on a couple times, it also wouldn't surprise me that much to see him just pop off and shut out the opponent. He's that kind of guy, you know?
Unpredictable. That's what makes it fun. It's exciting. You don't know what's going to happen.
He's got that talent there and that skill that, you know, he can adapt to a lot of things. We'll see as the game gets underway.
When you're talking about inconsistencies potentially in other places for Head Empty, but we're also talking about Speed Torrent, which is one of the better strikers out there as well.
Yeah, and they've paused. Amazing. A ping problem, perhaps. They're allowed to do that.
You know, you'd rather get this issue sorted out early on, so you don't have to worry about
that
it
wasn't
when
a
you're
pause.
down.
That wasn't a pause in a critical position, which I was a little worried about, that someone would pause like right before they were about to score. But that ball was just about to get cleared, so luckily that won't interfere with the game, and we'll get back into it once they've sorted out whatever problem they have sorted out. I'm not sure if I can find out what problem they have, but beats me. Anyways, yeah, the Speed Torrent Raichu matchup is going to be pretty big. I am curious what they're going to work on there. But either way, David's the kind of player who can save a lot of shots that are really nice. But unfortunately, he's not saving that one as Speed Torrent puts it off right after the pause ends. I thought for sure that ball was getting cleared. Oh no, the pause. Oh, okay, sure.
Oh, you can tell that because there was. You know what? That's okay. If you're right after the pause, you're coming off after it. That one might not
That
have
is a
been
little
nearly as
cheesy
good.
though. I'm not sure I'm happy about that. But it probably won't slant the entire match. So we'll see what happens here. Speed Torrent gets another chance. David saves those though.
It always seems. What are you talking about? Mr. David 8686406. Whole bunch of numbers. I'm about to ask him later. What all of those numbers mean in your name? You know? It's gotta have some sort of meaning.
Surely.
I mean, the Grass Touchers so far, they're doing a decent job of kind of playing around Speed Torrent's aggressiveness. And we can see, they already have that somewhere available long before any members of the Grass Touchers, and they're going to be taking that advantage early on, but not able to get it back into the net as David is able to force that one away. It's a great defensive play.
Yeah, Raichu walks into the corner, which like sets it up really well for a clear. That was pretty patient, but it worked out really well. No need to rush and shoot the ball right at Speed Torrent. He's just going to immediately dunk you, so better to walk it up.
Careful, well-planned, thought-out words you don't usually think about when you're playing Lucioball, but sometimes that could be the case too, and Droid's just going to follow it up with a second right after that.
Droid is so good. This shot is crazy. This is the exact textbook ult that he wants to be hitting. Walk across the ceiling, flying through the air. That is hard to contest because, you know, if you jump as the goalie too early and that punch catches you off guard and like puts it higher out of your range again, then you're just totally in free fall and it's like really rough. Hard to contest that too, even as in mid. Like Raichu, like where is he supposed to get to Droid in that shot? When is he supposed to get up there?
I mean, he was in the middle of the ceiling. Like, that's not an easy spot to get to quickly.
Right.
I mean, Droid might as well have wings on him at that point.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, Air Jordan.
Oh, he's bouncing. Bouncing around the sound barrier from Viper as well! Gonna be paying off immediately
And
after
they've got
his
an
next
answer.
play. Yeah.
This is not a team that's going to be 5-0'd here. Viper results coming in clutch, getting past a soul sack. And now we've got more competition. Now we've got Signs of Life from Head Empty, or for Grass Touchers that was switched.
We saw that play. Soulsack looked a little disoriented after what just happened there, too. I mean, all three players had jumped back from Head Empty to cover the net after they saw Viper. They were afraid of what this guy can do when they have this ultimate in their hands. It's so powerful in that idea, and even Viper now is playing so aggressive up in the front end. And you can see that Head Empty are having to compensate for it.
Yeah, right now the offense seems to be extended towards Viper. This is probably, you know, Raichu's clearing that ball off, but finally he gets dunked and Speed uses it as a chance to ult, but cleared away. Speed's got a second life of his ults. David, really patient, waiting there, makes it not an issue. Just says, I don't need to shoot this at you. I'm not scared of you. And he ends up working out pretty well, so we'll see once Raichu gets his ball over if Viper can get some action going.
They're going to be looking to try and do. The one thing I want to point out is how well disciplined that David has been in general with these plays. Especially with the sound barriers now coming into play. Speed Torrent making that one work out. Didn't even have to use the sound barrier for it. I think it was a nice setup from Droid, too.
Yeah, that was a play off the setup. Very nice. It said own goal. I do wonder if somebody's boop went in the wrong direction there trying to save the shot. But it's hard to say, really. That is such a difficult situation. You know, Raichu lost the ball. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of people did. And Speed Torrent, yeah, capitalizing on Droid's ults that got saved and saying, our offense is still going. I stayed up here. A lot of times you'll see players in Striker rotate back. Ooh, nice save. Rotate back when their mid player is ulting because they don't want to give the opponent a counterattack chance. But their Speed Torrent was willing to risk it for the offense. Said, I'll stay up here and play off of your ult. And it worked out really well for them. Glad to see some exciting sort of offensive plays.
And these teams are playing much more aggressive than we've seen in both of the previous matches. Not really wanting to rely on the defense as much. They're just in it. They're in it to win it.
Well, it's hard to say. Neither of these teams have a mid on the level of Ixmos or Boss, so like it's a little easier to get offense going, and I think that goes into the strategy when you decide how you're going to play in Lucioball. Like the caliber of defense is pretty important because you can't give your opponent counterattack chances just because you feel like it. I don't know.
Acknowledging where your weaknesses are might be another part of it. As we're seeing again, full sack not just playing goalie. Maybe you're trying to play a bit more aggressive to keep it out of full sack's reach.
Kieran is so good. He's so good.
What else can we even say at this point about this guy? Other than he's just good. He's that good at this game.
I'm not sure if he might have missed that boop and then like punched after the boop. You can punch right after you right click to like get a better chance to hit the ball sometimes. Like you get 2 hits really fast. And I think he missed the right click, but the punch came through and redirected that ball to the side where the goalie didn't think it was there. And so
Out for them. Raichu is going to be taking more of the aggression here now. Nice defense. Nice defensive peel from Droid and Soul Sack, not keeping it in the net area. To keep that one out. And it was a nice peel in that area too. We know that Raichu as well. We haven't seen a whole lot of them too much yet, but I think they've been a very volatile player.
that was funny. So that was a funny interaction. I think Raichu booped the ball directly into Droid's body, and the ball like stopped because it hit his body, and there's collision with the bodies. And then Droid didn't think that was going to happen, so he was like, "Where's the ball?" And he turns around, and it's colored blue, like he was the last one who hit it, and it's just in the corner sitting there. And it's like, oh, okay. Wasn't expecting that one. Worked out well for Raichu.
You'll take it. I mean,
He's ult is so scary, dude. Like even if it doesn't go in, that's so much pressure. That ball almost goes in as well, just right off the post.
You see these players just darting back at the same time out of fear of just potential aggression you can see. And the skills these players have. It's not to go single. That Speed Torrent and Viper are very strong strikers because of the mechanics they possess. Bouncing it on the ceiling in such a way that they're able to maneuver it around so many of these players. And overtime is about to begin, but it's a grim situation when you're down 3 goals here. And Head Empty will be taking the round 1.
Yeah, they will not be winning. Grasshunters will not be winning that game, but they still got something. I mean, Viper scored for sure, and if they can, click into gear on that defense and get that ball to Viper instead of having, Droid is playing really well on Viper, like preventing him from getting that ball. And I did say before this game started that I thought both those players probably had a lot of experience with each other, and that might be currently ending up in Droid's favor as he's consistently preventing Viper from getting, long possessions. As much as it's impressive when the striker gets a lot of offense, a lot of that is like, oh, the ball got past the striker, and the mid immediately puts it back in the striker's hands, and they keep going. So we're seeing a lot of that here, keeping that pressure off of Soulsack. Even when he had pressure on him, though, he was clearing well, by all means. So just really well played from No Thoughts, Head Empty, and we'll see what Grass Touchers can do. Maybe a substitute in. I don't know.
You got the players for it. You might as well, but. I mean, if you're thinking about how Grass Touchers played that last round, I don't think they did a bad job by any means. I think that the main thing that we saw was the difference between the synergy of the mid players and the strikers, like you were just talking about, being able to keep that ball on one end, the mid playing to get the ball up to the striker in order to have the scoring potential. And I don't think we saw that nearly as much because of the ways that these two players were able to work together to keep it on their end, and they're just forced to play back so much that you cannot. It's hard to get these plays set up over and over again.
Yeah, when you keep having so many opportunities, like so many shots on you, like constantly throughout the whole game, it is definitely the case that you're going to crack. And I think that was a big part of the victory for No Thoughts was keeping that pressure on the whole time. Ults can sometimes be used for that. I know in the past I've definitely thought a lot about like potentially. As a mid player, like how worth it is it to just ult to clear the ball and force the clear, like really super clear it, give it to your striker, and then enter that phase of the game where now you're the one constantly putting the pressure back on. Unfortunately, that didn't seem like what happened there, but we'll see as we get into the next game what. All right, there you go. So what adaptations happen, and it sounds like here that Hagrid has substituted for Raichu. So Raichu's out, Hagrid's in. Hagrid's mid, potentially more unfamiliar to Droid. I'm not sure how many times Droid has played with Hagrid, but it'll be more interesting. We'll see if the mid substitution is going to work out. This is the first substitution we've had that whole time with the Gatekeepers. They had so many opportunities to substitute and they didn't do it. And we'll see here. Now we have our first substitution to see how it works out for the Grass Touchers.
Like you said, maybe Hagrid's play style will vary from that of Raichu.
I know very little about Hagrid's playstyle. I'm going to be analyzing it live. I have no idea.
We're watching you, Hagrid. No pressure, buddy.
Yeah, no pressure.
I mean, and we're already starting out on their perspective just to see how they're playing right now.
Yeah, we've already hit the ball 3 times. That's a lot of times.
It's a lot of times.
So we'll see what happens. At the very least, Viper seems like he's getting more opportunities now in the beginning of the game, but that's not really indicative of the long-term behavior. So we'll see.
At this point, this is where you're trying to read the other players, and Hagrid, fresh sub, you're fresh off the bench, you're trying to get into it, work your way back, so Grass Touchers might take a minute to get going here. Same with Head Empty as you're kind of rotating your way back in as Droid. And Viper as well, they're very close to their old ultimates, and I think as soon as Droid gets this ball back into possession, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that somewhere. And there it is, see? It's going all the way down, straight to the ceiling, but Hagrid, very good at getting that back out, but Droid still manages to get it in the net anyways.
So much pressure. Droid has so much pressure when he's doing this ultimate. I mean, it's just constantly right next to the goal. That's rough. You know, you hope to clear it before it gets there, but I mean, really well played by Droid taking advantage of that opportunity and giving Head Empty a 1-goal lead, which they definitely could use. I saw earlier Droid was getting some really nice passes at the speed as well, so I'm glad to see him getting that awareness of his striker's position and hitting him. Speed is definitely the kind of player. Not every player in the Lucioball uses comms. Speed definitely does use comms if he's open. He'll tell you. So that might be part of it as well. Some good team communication. I'm not sure.
Comms are definitely a more difficult thing. Like if you compare to traditional Overwatch games and then you're heading over to Lucioball, comms are incredibly different. I mean, you're thinking about how to try and pass the ball, but some things are so reactionary like this that moments just happen, and Viper managed to get their hands on the ball, and that's the result.
Yeah, Viper's definitely doing what he can to make this game even. That's another goal for Viper. Consistent scoring. And we'll see now if he gets the ball more often. Definitely in the beginning, he was getting some opportunities without ult. I'd like to see him try to score without an ult one time to prove that he can score on Droid.
It's definitely more of a challenge in a way, but if you're able to get score goals consistently with this ultimate, that's not the worst thing either. At least you're able to get it into the net.
Yeah, and you're going to get 3 ults, you know. You're going to get 3 ults, like, in a game, you know, more or less. Oh, and Viper there, now he's scoring. Now he's scoring without an ult. That's a good sign for Grass Touchers. Big signs of life here. And I could definitely see them taking this game if they keep this kind of play up. Totally mixed up Droid. He was out of position. And took on the one-on-one with Solsack, who dropped the shot I was talking about earlier, right above the head. Hard to save.
Jabber, I think he heard what you were saying about how he needs to prove that he can score without the ultimate, because he just straight up went in there. He's like, you know what? Nobody's gonna doubt me. I'm gonna do it again, back to back.
Oh man.
Ugh.
Yeah, well, and I knew he could do it. That's why I said it. I knew he could, and there you go. Hit that ball off the ceiling one more time than Solsack thought he would. Solsack was expecting 1 ceiling hit, and so he jumped up timing for that. But Viper puts a 2nd ceiling hit on and forces the 3-1. And a 4-1, what was that?
You're kidding me! That is the 3rd goal in a matter of 30 seconds.
And you know, with all this time Viper's been setting up off the wall and all that, this time Viper does not set up off the wall. He just takes the shot. Might have caught Solsack slipping a little bit there.
I don't think Solsack was ready for something like that early on.
Yeah, that was a very quick shot, and there was no setup to it. It was just shot, boom, on target. It's good to mix up the timings like that, keep your goalie on your toes, and Solsack's failed that one, so... 4-1, it was 4-1 one way, now it's 4-1 the other way. We'll see if Head Empty can bring it back. We know they can score 4 in theory. Like, they can do it. They're training ults.
Yeah. You have the time for it, too. I mean, 3.5 minutes, that's a good chunk of And we just saw 3 goals in a matter of 30 seconds. They could totally just turn around and do that right now.
Oh yeah. Solsax used his ult, but that's not the end of the world. Although that was a really nice clear from Hagrid. That's the kind of thing that I like to see from a good player. I'm gonna wait for the ball to get clear before I start talking. Hagrid had like basically hit the ball off his own ceiling, like his own side, and then cleared it off of that. And that way you're like preventing getting dunked by the striker. It's pretty nice. So this guy definitely got some awareness to him, keeping the ball away from Speed Torrent. That's kind of your main goal. Given the ball, he's scary.
It's what we've seen so far from them, and I think that's working out. I don't think Speed Torrent has had an ultimate yet, and if they have, I don't think they're going to get too much out of it. And that shows that Grass Country have identified the that they are, and they're able to keep the ball just out of their possession consistently, and that's really proving to be advantageous. There's Speed Torrent's ultimate as well. Ooh, nice block from Hagrid, and another one too. This guy should be a goalie at this point.
Yeah, well, part of mid is rotating into goal. That's like a function of it. Short-term goalie plays, probably not unfamiliar to Hagrid. This is pretty nice. Droid's got an ult though, which is always going to be scary. He might score this, and he does. Very well executed ceiling shots coming out from Droid. Getting past Hagrid. You know, if Hagrid's the problem, why not bypass him entirely? Hit it off this mid-ceiling area and right into the net. Nice shot from Droid. The lab paying out. And now they got 2 minutes for 2 goals. Totally feasible. Totally feasible.
I mean, Viper, they got a sound barrier though. Be a little cautious how you're playing now. Viper has it, they're going down. In net. Ceiling. I'm watching, there it is! Viper!
You predicted it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you predicted it. You said Viper has a sound barrier. They better be scary. You better be careful. And he shoots it underneath Solsac, who does not fast fall that time because Viper has not shot low this entire series until just now.
That's the thing. A Viper, it's a snake. Very sneaky. Just comes at you out of nowhere. And I think that's what they're doing in this round. Viper was a bit quieter in our last round, but now really, really showing up.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is that he gets that ball more often. The substitutions paid off really well. Hagrid is doing a good job preventing Speed from getting any more than his handful of shots. That was very close to going in, but now David, maybe with a little more stamina,
feeling
a little less pressured, able to make those kinds of saves that are, he's got the skill for it, but it's hard to make 20 of those. But you can make a handful in a game, and he's been doing that.
Be able to keep it up consistently. It's really not an easy thing to do. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you so often that you're constantly trying to bounce around and you're stressing out where you're going, but
1 minute remaining in the match.
I'm having eyes on Speed Torrent here. I feel like they've got something, they're planning something big. I feel like something's gonna happen coming up here.
Although I'm not sure. Definitely worth going for the goals here, but 50 seconds, 3 goals, that is a tall order for anyone. Speed taking a risk to hit that ult, and it does not pay out. Immediately cleared away. This game might be going to 1-1. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling 1-1. And they're gonna have to figure out Hagrid. He's changed the game.
It's not impossible by any means.
It's
not an easy task. Not an easy task. Not one to take lightly. Especially with
pretty much
20 seconds
impossible.
Yeah, we'll just go with that. Especially with Viper here. Look how aggressive that we're seeing Grass Touchers play right now. They know that they're feeling good. They got 10 seconds left. It's basically done at this point. Ooh! I mean, oh, it was close, don't get me wrong, but they needed an extra 2-3 seconds, and 1-1. It's our first one that we're not seeing go to a 3-0.
That's right. This is not a 3-0. This is a tight battle for who's going to make it to winners finals. And I'm really glad to see Viper, he's playing some really good striker. Once he started getting that ball and getting those opportunities, he started, mixing up what shots he was taking like crazy. I mean, Solsac's really going to have to sit there and think, okay, every single time this guy touches the ball, it's going to be a high-pressure reaction situation. That was so nice. The second boop off the wall, off the ceiling, I mean. Very nice stuff from Viper. And I'm glad to see him playing well. I know sometimes Viper pops off in our custom game lobbies and just starts destroying everybody. Sometimes he does not destroy everybody, but I'm glad to see that he's ended up on the playing well side of that fence today. And I'm looking forward to seeing this next couple games here.
Viper's able to hit these really high highs in their level of gameplay, and that's just enough to get your team through to the next round. you tied it up. You managed to get yourself another point, and that's really good if you're trying to move forward to that winners finals. It'd be much easier to actually get there now than it is to try to fight your way through. There's a loser's bracket, and you have to play twice as many matches as you would have originally. So now thinking about that, the substitution with Hagrid in looks a lot better for Viper to actually prove that they're a very solid striker in this matchup and they're having a good day. Now, well, thinking about no thoughts here, what is something that you think that could be changed in their type of play style that can probably bring them back moving forward that they're going to want to look at?
Yeah, a lot of this is going to come down to, Droid was hitting open speed torrents a lot. That's good. Speed torrent has not been open as much, so he could afford to dunk more. Soulsack probably needs to, either Soulsack or Droid needs to contest Viper earlier on. Probably Droid, honestly. Like if the ball gets past Droid's got to turn around and jump up and hit the ball off his own ceiling and stuff like that. Like we saw Hagrid do earlier against Speed. Hits like that are going to be really critical. So there's a few things that could happen. Either Soulsack or Droid could make that adjustment. Those are the kinds of things I'd like to see. We'll see what happens. David definitely not an unscorable goalie, but he's a very good one. So you're going to have to work for it if you want to get it into his net.
You're gonna have to, I mean, David's been really solid, just consistently hitting the shots in the area now. And that's what you need to see from Lucio. I mean, from Lucio, your goalie. They're all Lucio, technically. Hagrid has been doing very well defensively, giving David a helping hand as he did. Speed torrent right
And
there.
that was a nice extended offense from Speed. I was basically counting the seconds until he scored. I saw how long he was keeping that ball there. That was a crazy save from David, but only a handful of those you're going to make, and put that ball over him. Reaction time. That ball comes at you real fast when you're shooting right at them. And that makes it 1-0. So now Head Empty's got a lead. They've had leads before. See if maybe Droid's been just tightening up his act, and maybe Grass Touchers are just saying that's lucky. And we'll get our chances now as Viper gets an offense, and that was almost a goal actually. That was really close. Got one dunk there. Clean punch. Oh man, they amp it up. I'm not sure I support that. I think he should have right-clicked and then punched. I think he would have scored, but whatever. Back in the old days of Lucioball, before they made the boop cooldown 1 second, there was a glitch you could do where you could boop and then amp it up, and that would cancel your boop cooldown immediately. Like if you booped right after it. It was not intentional because it was taking advantage of the way Overwatch does cooldowns. But now with the 1 second cooldown, it's important. But I see the muscle memory coming in from like a right click, immediately amp it up. Like I get that, but yeah, you're on Striker. Maybe you don't need to do that anymore, anyways. Yeah, Hagrid. I haven't seen Hagrid's ult at all, but that was pretty solid. I can't go wrong with that. Maybe Hagrid's also been in the lab. I wouldn't know.
I mean, it looked pretty good.
Yeah. Oh no, Droid, don't hit it backwards. The wrong way.
Turn around. We're going for red. We're on the blue team today. Get to the other side, and unfortunately, Droid has been looking really good with those sound barriers so far, but that one, I don't think that played out the way they were hoping it would. In general.
Yeah, that was the first really misplay on the ult I saw, but that's okay.
It happens. We all have our moments. Speed Torrent coming up to one of their own. Even David has that one in their arsenal and they opt to use it, but right now you're so focused on trying to keep the ball away from your net that Speed Torrent is aggressively pushing like this, and that was a perfectly aimed shot straight over the head.
Jeez. With so many hits off the wall, like, you just never know when it's going to be actually shot, but very nice setup just for Speed, getting it set up so that he'd have the one-on-one with David again. The close range one-on-one, that's so much of the important factor when it comes to playing good striker, is like getting this ball with all your dribbles that you land in a one-on-one with the goalie. Because those defenders are so good, otherwise you have to do all these like magic tricks in order to get past them. Now we see Speed Torrent's ultimate. That he didn't even score with his ultimate there, and it seems he's been dunked, so a great attempt, but like I said, not every 50 you're going to win, so...
If you don't take any shots, you don't know if it's actually going to work. So you might as well go for it, and Speed Torrent will be doing just that.
This is a really nice pass. This ball ends up right at Speed Torrent's face right here. Droid gets a really nice pass to Speed, who's alone on the right pad, and takes advantage of it fully by weaving that ball past Hagrid, who, was, I think, the closer one to the ball. Taking advantage of David kind of going out for the ball earlier. 3-0.
I know, we're 3-0 after our last match. It seems like the individual rounds have been very one-sided, and then we're looking at kind of the touchbacks and then switching around and just
The
going
unfortunate
from
double ults. Nobody wants to see that.
Nope. Oh. I know, and Viper and Packard, I mean, those are two that you really wanted to... And of all the two you could have comboed, that's probably some of the worst that you'd probably...
Yeah.
In that instance. You know what? It's not the end of the world, I guess. You're still down 3-0, but you got 2 minutes.
It could be done. It could be done.
You can do it. You did it last time.
Starts like that. But Droid with a really nice save there. Droid is definitely not a goalie player at all, so it's nice to see. Even Droid can make those saves. Even though traditionally I would have expected to see Droid net, I'm like, it's going in no matter what I do. But that was really nice. Good stuff from Droid. He's playing pretty well today.
Especially this round 2, and I would like to see that consistency in the mid position, because that's going to be where both your striker and your goalie rely heavily on your mid. You're expected to do both jobs. You're supposed to be in both places. If only you could be in 2 places at once, it would be really helpful, but no, you're stuck with just the one. And that balancing that play, then that's something that we've seen very well. And Hagrid as well, I think that having that newness of coming in on the second round, it's kind of worn off a little bit, as Viper has been pretty well contested, and Hagrid hasn't been able to get that ball down to them consistently enough for Viper to take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's been a big part of the adaptation has been like speed, like I said, before this game. Speed, getting used to Hagrid's playstyle, getting open a couple times, which he has now. And then additionally, right, Droid tightening up his act on Viper, which he has been doing. So they've kind of collectively been improving. And it's been working out well for them. It's 3-0. It used to be, much worse than that. Soulstack's getting his ult. He wants to make it 4-0, but not going to work out like that. I see what he wanted to do there, like punching off, move brought to the side, get the ball on the other side of him, but maybe it didn't work out that well. But in any case, Viper's ult gets cleared. That's big. That's probably your last hope gone.
Yeah, I know. Grass Touchers, they needed Viper to come up with that. It was, really their only hope of trying to get something going, give them a little bit of juice to push them through this round, but it's looking grim for them at this point. I mean, you got David with their ultimate, but with how defensively you're having to play right now, it's unlikely that they're going to be able to even use it at this point in 2 seconds.
Soulstack has upped his DPI and has decided to spin around in a circle. And he deserves that for that game, which was very cleanly played. 3-0, they get the shutout. I think Droid tightened up his act a lot. I was really happy to see that. Good stuff from No Thoughts Head Empty, who have a surprising amount of thoughts to make these adaptations, given the circumstances. Watch the play here. Again, it's really clean.
Things like that can't be taught. Like, it just takes hours of practice to get that down. And honestly, I've played Lucioball before. I'm not very good at it. But then you have a Jabber over here who's like one of the best mids in the game. And it's like, it's such a crazy thing to think about how much time that you have to spend working to being able to match the ball in height, being able to get these mechanics down, just basically. And you can tell who's been spending time in these custom game modes, just practicing, just going with the ball, seeing how does this work if I do this, where do these angles go down, and just getting a feel for how the game mode will really work out.
Yeah, and speed there on shots like that, like it's almost like because we spend so much time on the ceiling, on the wall, like practicing those kinds of shots, and I'm gonna jump and boop off the floor and do whatever. Like that's the kind of stuff you practice. So it's another level when you're speed and you're looking right at the wall and you're just like, this ball is too close to the wall. I cannot hit the ball into the net, and like I need to hit it off, but it's all low and like ground it and stuff like that doesn't get practiced as much. So there's definitely an element of like familiarity with just having played a lot of games. That shot in particular, that isn't something you lab out. That's just something you realize in the moment. Oh, I'm gonna hit the ball off the wall twice, and then line it up for just the ground shot right over David's head. Those sorts of things, yeah, you don't practice those. Those just come from a lot of experience. Although I don't do that kind of stuff because I'm not that good at scoring goals. I don't try to. And Speed Torrent's always very impressive to me. And he's my West Coast brethren. He just recently moved out to closer to the east to get that better ping. But for a while there, he was West Coast gang, and peaking out with the rest of West Coast not getting the high enough SR because we don't have enough good players over here. And the high ping to Chicago is just atrocious. You can't play on that. So I'm always happy to see Speed Torrent succeed. Anytime a West Coast player goes out to the east and does well, I'm always like, yes, we are a strong region. We're just held back. But in any case, he played really well, and we're gonna have to see some adaptation again, counter adaptation coming in from Grass Touchers, who are gonna need to figure something out to get Viper this ball more and let him go ham again.
Been working out before, but you just need to find the way to actually make it happen. We've seen that the strategy has worked, but I also think that No Thoughts has been able to identify that themselves and been able to prevent that from happening. And it's been very well planned out for them to actually work around. They know that Viper is having a good game, keeping the ball out of their possession and out of Hagrid's been playing well. And I don't think that, moving forwards, that we're going to have more subs when you're thinking about that. Because Hagrid, they've been pretty consistent.
Hagrid's playing pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's just something that they're going to have to kind of turn around to back. It's match point right now, so they're going to have to win this next one out if they want to keep themselves moving forwards into the winners finals and just avoid that losers bracket altogether. But as of now, it's not something that I would expect to come in.
The really terrifying thing if you're either of these teams is that you have to know, if you're looking at bracket, you realize that if you lose this game, your next opponent is the Gatekeepers, like almost definitely the Gatekeepers, and it's like, oh no. Nobody wants to play the Gatekeepers. They want to get as far as possible, feel as good as possible, get as much practice before they have to play that team. So both these teams, neither of them want to win at all, want to lose at all. Like, they really want to win this game and avoid disaster. Guarantee third place. Winner of this game guarantees third place, which is pretty impressive for either of these teams who have gotten third place. It's pretty good, and they seem to be playing pretty well. So they've really earned it.
Oh, Bajabber, I'm excited to see how this match turns out. I know you're excited as well, but we do have to take a quick break here before we see the end of this series unravel. So don't go anywhere. This is going to be an exciting conclusion coming up in just a few moments.